Thanks again for joining us. I'm Rochelle Graham. It could be one of the closest races in Michigan come Election Day. Our Shaina Humphries breaks down the Attorney General race and where incumbent Dana Nessel and Republican challenger Matt DePerno stand on the biggest issues.
Michigan's Democratic Attorney General Dana Nessel wants a second term, and she points to her record as the reason voters should give it to her.
My plan is to continue all of my great initiatives in office that have helped so many people. The fact that we have substantially fewer robocalls that are made to Michigan residents now than they were in 2019. Residents who identify as LGBTQ, they can't be fired from their jobs anymore just because they're gay or because they're transgender.
Nessel's challenger, Republican lawyer from Kalamazoo, Matt DePerno, says his decision to run was based on Nessel's actions in regard to Governor Whitmer's COVID restrictions.
Failing to investigate Whitmer for 8,000 nursing homes deaths is tyranny right there. It is a terrible thing that she did. It needs to be investigated. That's why I ran for office.
However, he rose to prominence by touting unproven claims of fraud in the 2020 election, filing an unsuccessful lawsuit in Antrim County, and eventually earning the endorsement of former President Donald Trump.
You entered the conversation by way of questioning the 2020 election, right?
Sure. You can say that, but listen, our case was a great case. It was an amazing case. I was the only case in the country that got a forensic image of a voting system.
That effort led to a criminal investigation, which is ongoing today.
Listen, she started an investigation against me in February, knowing I would be her political opponent. She used taxpayer dollars to do it, and no one in the media wants to report on that fact.
When it became clear that Matthew DePerno was involved in all of this, I did exactly what every prosecutor ought to do, and I referred it out, and I said I can't handle this case anymore. And that's why Prosecutor DJ Hilson in Muskegon County is handling this. I will have no say in whether or not charges are brought.
There are a lot of people who believe your intention, should you win, is to undermine, interfere with, possibly even overturn a future election. And you're smiling in response to that.
I'm smiling at just the way these things are reported. Nothing could be further from the truth.
When it comes to crime, as the state's top law enforcement officer, Nessel says Michigan's most pressing issue is clear.
Well, the biggest problem is the proliferation of firearms in our state. Anyone, anyplace, anywhere, anytime, just about can access a deadly firearm. So I have worked aggressively on this issue, and of course I've supported things like safe and secure storage, red flag laws, increasing the age from 18 to 21 for a person to be able to purchase a firearm.
DePerno says the state's biggest problems are playing out in courtrooms and the AG's office itself.
Well, we're no longer prosecuting violent felons anymore, and Dana Nessel doesn't support the police. There's always room for improvement, but what we have to do is support the police and make sure they're fully funded.
On that point, they agree.
Well, firstly, I've been clear from the very beginning that I oppose any effort to defund the police. Yes, I absolutely support adding to police departments social workers, psychologists. I mean, that's essential. It's crucial.
Nessel has faced widespread criticism for the way her office handled the Flint water crisis. While she secured a large settlement for victims in civil court, the criminal cases against several former officials were assigned to other prosecutors. In October, a judge dismissed those charges.
It was all about the procedure that was used, which is a procedure, of course, that had been in place in this state for decades and decades, the one-man grand jury. So any of the findings of the court had nothing to do with the evidence. I think the evidence should be heard in a court of law, and that the people of the state of Flint ought to have their day in court.
Is that still a realistic possibility when you consider the statute of limitations in regard to some parts of the case?
Well, I guess that's going to be left for the courts to decide.
Now, the reality is the statute of limitations on those crimes has expired. Regardless of what Dana Nessel wants to tell you, she cannot refile those cases.
Nessel and DePerno are on opposite sides of the abortion rights debate. Nessel, a staunch supporter of ballot proposal 3, which would guarantee Michiganders the right to abortion, says she is prepared to defend it should it pass.
If it doesn't pass, we're going to continue with the lawsuits that have been filed, and I am going to aggressively defend a woman's right to choose, which means even if the case goes all the way to the Michigan Supreme Court, which it is expected to, I will be there arguing that women doctors, nurses should not be legally prosecuted, criminally prosecuted for something that should be a decision that they get to make.
If Prop 3 does pass, DePerno says he would accept the will of the voters and there would be nothing left for him to do. And if it fails,
well, if Prop 3 fails, then the 1931 law would still be in place, and I would enforce that law.
Does that include prosecuting women who receive abortions and doctors who provide them?
Well, it certainly would include prosecuting doctors, because that's the way the law is written. And that's why I say I think there needs to be an amendment to the law. But it's not up to the Attorney General to pick and choose which laws to enforce.
beyond the ballot proposals, one key question looms over Election Day.
If the votes are counted and the people of Michigan do choose DePerno, will you accept that outcome?
Absolutely. That's what a democracy is, you know, and if he wins, absolutely, I will concede to him and I will wish him well, and I will hope that he will take good care of the Department of Attorney General and the people of the state of Michigan.
Asked if he would accept the outcome if he loses, DePerno didn't explicitly answer the question.
I'm going to win, so I'm going to accept the result.
And don't forget, we have the full interviews with Nessel and DePerno on our website. There you can also find a breakdown of each key race and proposal on the ballot next Tuesday. Just head to our elections page, cbsdetroit.com/elections.